Are you often told you're too emotional or overly empathetic? Do you find yourself deeply affected by the world around you? If so, you might be a highly sensitive person, also known as an HSP. Today we're sharing the Highly Sensitive Person test from the popular audiobook, The Highly Sensitive Person Survival Guide: Essential Skills for Living Well in an Overstimulating World. Do you think you might be a highly sensitive person? Listen in and find out. Welcome to Your Great Journey, the podcast that's your passport to a better you. We've got an exclusive gift for our podcast community. Download our free ebook, Calm Your Mind: 50 Effective Strategies to Relieve Anxiety and Stress. Claim your gift now by visiting yourgreatjourney.com/calm.
An introduction to being an HSP. I can't take the stress at work anymore. My coworker at the next desk talks all day long in a loud, abrasive voice, and my boss keeps demanding that I meet his rigid deadlines. I leave work every day feeling drained and jittery with my stomach tied up in knots. Everyone in my family is always running around trying some new adventure while I like to stay home. I feel like there's something wrong with me because I usually don't like to go out after work or on weekends. Does any of this sound familiar to you? If so, you may be a highly sensitive person. What is a highly sensitive person? Since Elaine Aron's landmark book, The Highly Sensitive Person, was published in 1996, hundreds of thousands of HSPs, highly sensitive people, have begun to realize that they are not flawed for life due to their finely tuned nervous system. Approximately 15 to 20% of the population have trouble screening out stimuli and can be easily overwhelmed by noise, crowds, and time pressure. The HSP tends to be very sensitive to pain, the effects of caffeine, and violent movies. Highly sensitive people are also made extremely uncomfortable by bright lights, strong smells, and changes in their lives. In this companion audiobook to The Highly Sensitive Person, you will learn hundreds of new coping strategies to remain calm and tranquil in today's overstimulating world, transforming your sensitivity into inner peace and joy. HSPs can find it challenging growing up in a society that values aggression and overstimulation. I grew up in the era of heroes such as John Wayne, when real men were supposed to be strong, tough, and silent. As a highly sensitive boy, I didn't fit in at school and felt that there was something inherently wrong with me. At an early age, I surmised that I was a bad person because I believed the lie that being sensitive was disgusting. Virtually all of the emotional pain that I experienced growing up was directly related to a lack of understanding about my very sensitive nervous system. As an adult, you may still suffer from a lack of understanding about your sensitivity. HSPs are adversely affected by our fast-paced and aggressive modern industrialized society. You can easily become exhausted, perpetually overstimulated by everything from the proliferation of violence in the media to the cacophony of loud urban noises. Since HSPs are a minority of the population, you may internalize the mores of our non-HSP society. Unfortunately, when you try to fit into an overstimulating, out-of-balance world, your physical, emotional, and spiritual health suffers. The Highly Sensitive Person Questionnaire. When I took Elaine Aron's Highly Sensitive Person self-test many years ago, I almost thought the questionnaire was designed specifically for me, as I immediately responded yes to every question. However, there are many differences amongst highly sensitive people. Some HSPs find noise intolerable but are not bothered by scents. Other HSPs can tune out noise but are extremely bothered by bright lights. The term highly sensitive may elicit either a positive or negative reaction. The thesaurus on my Microsoft Word program gives the following synonyms for sensitivity: compassion, sympathy, understanding, and kindliness. However, for some respondents I've interviewed, the words highly sensitive brought up feelings of shame and worthlessness, and I observed those interviewees trying to minimize their sensitivity during the HSP self-test. Many progressive people now believe that sensitivity is a positive trait. The respondents didn't want to appear insensitive when I administered the questionnaire, and I noticed that they would spend a long time answering each question, trying to justify their sensitivity. Try to be aware of your feelings about the term highly sensitive as you respond to the questions on the HSP self-test. Are you highly sensitive? A self-test. For this section of the audiobook, you may want to go and get a pad and pen. What follows is a list of 23 questions designed to help you gauge whether or not you are a highly sensitive person. For each question, be prepared to answer true or false. Answer true if it is at least somewhat true for you. Answer false if it is not very true or not at all true for you. I seem to be aware of subtleties in my environment. Other people's moods affect me. I tend to be very sensitive to pain. I find myself needing to withdraw during busy days into bed or into a darkened room or any place where I can have some privacy and relief from stimulation. I am particularly sensitive to the effects of caffeine. I am easily overwhelmed by things like bright lights, strong smells, coarse fabrics, or sirens close by. I have a rich, complex inner life. I am made uncomfortable by loud noises. I am deeply moved by the arts or music. I am conscientious. I startle easily. I get rattled when I have a lot to do in a short amount of time. When people are uncomfortable in a physical environment, I tend to know what needs to be done to make it more comfortable, like changing the lighting or the seating. I am annoyed when people try to get me to do too many things at once. I try hard to avoid making mistakes or forgetting things. I make it a point to avoid violent movies and TV shows. I become unpleasantly aroused when a lot is going on around me. Being very hungry creates a strong reaction in me, disrupting my concentration or mood. Changes in my life shake me up. I notice and enjoy delicate or fine scents, tastes, sounds, works of art. I make it a high priority to arrange my life to avoid upsetting or overwhelming situations. When I must compete or be observed while performing a task, I become so nervous or shaky that I do much worse than I would otherwise. When I was a child, my parents or teachers seemed to see me as sensitive or shy. Scoring yourself. If you answered true to 12 or more of the questions, you're probably highly sensitive. But frankly, no psychological test is so accurate that you should base your life on it. If only 1 or 2 questions are true of you, but they are extremely true, you might also be justified in calling yourself highly sensitive. The goal of this audiobook is to help the highly sensitive person learn coping strategies to remain calm and peaceful in today's overstimulating world. You will be given many suggestions on how to live a harmonious life and thrive at an optimal level. However, don't pressure yourself to feel that you have to integrate the hundreds of recommendations into your life. Even if you choose to employ only one or two of the suggestions, it will help you to become a happier person. As you are listening to this audiobook, it will be helpful for you to jot down notes regarding which methods you want to integrate into your life. You may want to use a journal so you don't forget any important suggestions. At the end of each chapter, make a list of the techniques that you want to implement and put them on your calendar. Begin enjoying the new coping strategies by practicing them this week. The key to a happy life for the HSP is planning ahead. It's very important to make the necessary preparations to reduce stimulation in advance, such as taking earplugs or a headset with you when you are going into a noisy environment. You need to remain vigilant so that you're not swept up in a sea of stifling societal stimulation. And finally, though it may sound strange, you may actually crave negative stimulation when you are out of balance. As you listen to this audiobook, look deeply inside yourself to determine if your behavior is creating harmony or tension in your life. Welcome to the inner journey of exploring your psyche and emotions as you learn new and exciting methods to bring more inner peace and joy into your life.
Thanks for listening to this excerpt from the audiobook, The Highly Sensitive Person Survival Guide, Essential Skills for Living Well in an Overstimulating World. If you're a highly sensitive person, there's one skill that can change your life: mastering your heightened sensitivity to both physical and emotional experiences. Dive into this accessible and empowering audiobook to discover the strategies that will help you thrive. You can purchase the complete audiobook from any major online audiobook retailer.
Your great journey is brought to you by audiobook publisher Wetware Media. Wetware Media publishes a wide variety of personal transformation audiobooks. Please visit wetwaremedia.com. That's WETWAREMEDIA.com.
This podcast is provided for informational purposes only and does not constitute medical or mental health advice. This content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical or mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of a qualified mental health professional.